Away, let me sleep for the love of God!
When the script for Beverly Hills Ninja was sent his way, Chris remembered that his good buddy and former SNL co-star Dana Carvey was once attached to this project, and he trusted Dana's comedic instincts enough that he was willing to give the script a read-through. But Chris was unimpressed with it, to say the least, and gave the movie a hard pass. That is, until his agents presented to him, literally in his trailer on the set of Black Sheep, a $6 million salary offer that he just couldn't refuse. Everyone from Chris's friends to his manager to his assistant tried to tell him not to do this movie. They knew that he wasn't exactly wowed by the script and was only attaching himself to this project because of the paycheck.
Do you perhaps take gold?
But Chris's father told him he couldn't turn down that kind of money, and at that point, the ship had sailed. After Black Sheep wrapped, Chris went right into prepping for Beverly Hills Ninja.
Are you making another film?
Yeah, Beverly Hills Ninja. So I do a little karate. Oh yeah, I split my pants.
All right, no.
He also pressured the writers to revise the script with stronger comedic material, while also leaning into more of a family-friendly appeal. Around that same time, hot on the heels of Happy Gilmore, Dennis Dugan was locked down to direct the movie. Years earlier, after seeing Chris perform as essentially an unknown talent at Second City, Dennis was dead set on casting him in the 1992 movie Brain Donors. But Chris wasn't able to do the film after being snapped up by Saturday Night Live just a few days later. So after a 5-year wait, Dennis was extremely happy to finally get a chance to work with him. Ironically enough, Chris had just recently been fired from, or asked to quit, Saturday Night Live. So at this point in time, he was back in Chicago where his career began. And even though Beverly Hills Ninja was planned as a goofy comedy for kids and families, Chris didn't want to phone in his performance. So to really help him sell his role as Haru, he enlisted the help of Master Jianhua Guo of Chicago's Championship Martial Arts Academy.
Master Go!
Some of his students did stunts for the Ninja Turtle movies, but he also trained Daniel Pesina and Anthony Marquez, who portrayed Johnny Cage and Kung Lao in the original Mortal Kombat games. Master Guo only had about 3 or 4 months to give Chris Farley a crash course in martial arts, but he was extremely impressed with how quick of a learner he was. And I mean, anyone who's seen the clip where he knocks out 2 cartwheels in a row during his entrance on The Late Show should know that he was an agile dude. By the time shooting began, Chris had been trained on the basics of wushu, and in the use of weapons such as double broadswords, the 3-sectional staff, and of course, the most sacred weapon of all, the sockeye salmon. As of late 1995, Chris was focusing on his martial arts and successfully maintaining his sobriety, but those closest to him recall that this period of time represented the calm before the storm. In a previous episode, I went over the plane ride from Chicago to New York for a test screening of Black Sheep, in which Chris had his first alcoholic beverage after about 3 years of sobriety. Well, in the weeks leading up to that trip, Chris's assistant and close friend, Ted Dondonville, recalls 2 particular events involving Beverly Hills Ninja that also played a big part in that relapse. The first being the film's rewritten script. Ted remembers that when the revised script came through, it really sucked. At that point, they decided to film some of Chris's martial arts training in order to give the writers sort of a visual they could use to hopefully come up with some physical comedy gags or scenarios that could be worked into the script to improve it. But the battery died on the camcorder about halfway through the training session, and any footage that had been captured was basically unusable, which kicked off Event 2, in which Chris flew into a rage, yelling and screaming and ranting about this goddamned script. And so shortly after that, when he made his way to New York for the test screening of Black Sheep, he left Chicago really pissed off. Amidst that first big relapse at the tail end of 1995, Chris Farley's personal disappointment after seeing an early version of Black Sheep only made him more worried about Beverly Hills Ninja, because he was scared that he had locked himself into doing another bad movie. But by the time filming began in February of 1996, Chris had resumed his martial arts training and regained his sobriety, which he maintained throughout the entirety of Beverly Hills Ninja's 3-month shoot. As the movie begins, a small infant child washes ashore a Japanese island inhabited by the Takagura Dojo Ninja clan. The child is taken in by the leader of the clan, given the name Haru, and becomes the adoptive brother of a talented ninja named Gobei. As we witness Haru growing older within the dojo, the kid they picked to play a young Chris Farley was Jason Davis, who's probably most remembered as the voice of Mikey on the long-running Disney cartoon Recess. Weirdly and sadly enough, Jason passed away in 2020 under very similar circumstances and at nearly the same age as Chris Farley. As time marches on with years of difficult ninja training, or in Haru's case, kebab making, the adult version of Gobei is played by Robin Shu.
He's fat, he's a fool, and he's an embarrassment to ninjas everywhere.
Which leads us right back to the topic of Mortal Kombat, as Robin played Liu Kang in both the 1995 adaptation and the so bad it's actually entertaining sequel, Mortal Kombat Abomination. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But Robin Shou recalls that as an actor rooted in Hong Kong filmmaking, he had absolutely no idea who Chris Farley was when he signed on to do this movie. However, he was extremely impressed that a slapstick comedian from the Midwest showed such respect for wushu and actually took the time to learn the basics before filming started. Despite Haru's eagerness to fulfill the legend of the Great White Ninja, he fails to live up to his sensei's expectations and must remain an apprentice within his dojo. But when an American woman named Sally Jones arrives seeking the help of a trained ninja, Haru follows the instincts of his short sword and agrees to help her.
It sounds to me you're being led around by your short sword.
By the way, this entire scene with Sally and Haru in the dojo is absolute gold.
It's burning.
Yes, the words have been seared into my soul as well.
Like, they gave Chris Farley 2 physical comedy bits back to back that each showcased some of his best qualities. You get a hilarious one-liner after the weapon rack breaks.
That rack was not built by ninjas.
Followed by sad secondhand embarrassment when he accidentally dumps the ashes of fallen ninjas onto the floor.
Takuri. Temple? Kai?
In the same scene, a breakaway window was set up for Chris to jump through while his character attempts to hide from Sally, but it turns out that he picked the wrong window and ended up accidentally taking out a support beam and an entire wall.
And I went off the wrong mark and I hit straight into a wooden pole.
Sally's request leads Haru into a counterfeit money operation headed up by Martin Tanley. After Martin murders one of his business associates, the blame is pinned on Haru simply because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He then decides to travel to America in order to bring down Martin Tanley's fake money scheme, clear his name, and prove that he can live up to the legend of the Great White Ninja.
I must go to the hills of Beverly.
All while communicating with his sensei back in Japan through the use of astral projection.
Hello, my son.
Hello, Sensei.
These scenes never fail to get a laugh out of me.
I have been accused of another murder or two.
In Chris Farley's previous starring roles, he played 2 characters that were completely out of their element, to say the least. But Beverly Hills Ninja was the first to throw him into the classic stranger in a strange land, fish out of water trope. Everything surrounding that aspect of the plot is pure gold. Getting yelled at by the dude from Three's Company in traffic.
Thanks, asshole.
Misunderstanding the intent of his words.
You are welcome.
And then repeating them in a nice manner throughout the film.
Can I take your bag?
Thanks, asshole.
Haru taking his shoes off at the door of the hotel only to have them thrown away multiple times.
Who is stealing my shoes?
And of course, trying to get through airport security with a stash of ninja weapons in his gi. But that sort of humor can only be stretched so far, and Chris Farley always thrived when he had a partner to bounce jokes off of. Gobei couldn't fill that void because he was tasked with shadowing Haru, which added tons of hilarious scenarios to the movie, by the way. So Chris Rock was brought in to play a character named Joey, who fulfilled the buddy role for brief moments throughout the movie.
You look like a pimp.
And as a pimp, I shall blend into Beverly Hills like MSG into miso soup.
When Beverly Hills Ninja started filming, Chris Rock was obviously well known, but he had yet to rocket into massive stardom. So on Beverly Hills Ninja, he was limited to a 4-day filming schedule. However, in June of that year, Chris Rock's HBO special Bring the Pain completely blew up, and he was in high demand. During test screenings of Beverly Hills Ninja that were held after that special dropped, audiences would cheer and scream every time he showed up.